Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. This is Yahwoo. Well, actually, I'm in a really good mood. My phone is a little dirty. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, I make my videos with my phone, but oh man. So I I go and I go with my cousin today. They wanted me to do some plumbing with them because obviously they don't know how to do any plumbing, but that's what they wanted me to do. So I go check out the job, you know, give them the price and everything. And then we leave there and we go to this house where they're cleaning it out. And I walk in the house, and Lord and behold, right on the counter, there's a book. And it says, Hope of the Nation, Our American Heritage. And I was watching the video that Big Judah had put up, right? I'm watching that. And I got this book, and I'm on my way home, so I'm like, okay, let me check this out. So I stop at the gas station while I'm pumping the gas. I said, well, let me crack this book open, right? So I crack it open. First page, I just grab it and turn to a page. First page I turn to, it says, A New World to Conquer. So I'm not going to go through this whole chapter. I'm going to literally start right where it jumped out at me, But I want y'all to hear this, because what this is going to do is literally back up what Judah was just talking about. And, you got to praise the Most High for, how he just put stuff in our path, It's very awesome. Very awesome. So let's get started, y'all. So you seen what I read, the new world to conquer. And you notice they didn't say a new world to discover, to explore, a new world to, help with trade, well, whatever, anything pleasant. They said conquer. That's all they thinking about is conquering. So that actually informs you right there that they had no thoughts on coming over here being peaceful at all. All right, so here we go. At the time, Columbus and perhaps Vespucci, his name is Vespucci because they broke it down so you could pronounce it correctly. So it's Amerigos Vespucci. Were on voyages to the west, 1498. A Portuguese, Vasco da Gama, succeeded in rounding Africa. After visiting India, he returned home with glowing reports of that land, of the opportunity of trade. Then in 1519, and lest there be any further doubt that the world was round, another daring Portuguese named Magellan started on what is perhaps the most remarkable voyage ever undertaken. In the employ of Charles V of Spain, he took the course first charted by Columbus. This led to the Canary Islands, from which he struck southwest and reached South America, near the Great Bulge of Brazil. By the next year, he had worked his way south to the mouth of Rio de la Plata, edging his way along, now in colder waters. He finally passed through the treacherous strait which has come to bear his name, at the southern tip of South America. After pressing up the forbidding coast of what today is Lower Chile, he swung to the northwest across the broad Pacific, which he so named because it seemed less storm-tossed and more peaceful than the Atlantic. He finally reached the Philippine Islands, where he was killed in a fight with the natives. So he got murdered by the natives in 1521. The following year, his men, after visiting Borneo of the Moluccas, crossed the Indian Ocean, rounded the Cape of Good Hope, and returned home in the fall of 1522. Not only had the New World been proven to be round, but this great voyage helped to fix many new coastlines with greater accuracy on maps, charts, and globes. Water routes had now been opened around both South America and Africa. One had been discovered by men under the patronage of the King of Spain, the second by the Portuguese. This caused other monarchs to live in their interests in a passage to India, and the King of France was the next to try his hand. Choosing an Italian navigator named Verrazzano, he instructed him to attempt a water crossing north of the Americas, striking west from Madeira in 1524. He presumably came to land about where the Carolinas lie today. Moving up the coast, he failed to find a northwest passage, but he did give the throne of France what is considered valid rights in its later attempts at settlement in this new world. So they come to somebody's land and just say they got the right to just take people's land. You know, it's crazy. But it get worse. It get worse. Both of the Americas had now definitely been visited, but they had to be more thoroughly explored, and if possible, possessed. So they telling you what they came to do. The contest for footholds in a huge wilderness was about to begin. Right there, they told you exactly what they was coming to do. What besides discovery would encourage the Spanish to lead in conquest in the New World? For our answer, let us return to the city of Granada in southern Spain, just previous to Columbus' first visit to Ferdinand and Isabella, and see what has taken place there. We have repeatedly mentioned the followers of Muhammad and spoken of them as Mohammedans or Saracens, permitted a freedom unknown to Europeans during the Dark Ages. They had achieved a remarkable civilization. It had flowed to the west across the northern rim of Africa, leaped the narrow straits to the western end of the Mediterranean Sea, and taken possession of the southern Spain. There it came into full flower under followers of Muhammad, known as the Moors. Through wealth based upon trade, they had built a progressive, enlightened, and thriving community at one edge of backward, stagnant Europe. So they telling you that they were backwards. They were like they were pretty much just crazy as I don't know what. All right, so here we're gonna get into this meat right here. The Moors are being driven from Spain. They knew that the earth was round, and it was through their hands that the compass had passed from China into the west. Sailors of the other Saracen groups had control of the seaways to India and had them highly organized for trade. And in this profitable commerce, the Moors took an active part. They were wealthy and they were able, but they found themselves living beside a world in which pagan beliefs still held sway. Chief among them was the feeling that any gains were possible only at the expense of one's neighbors. That's dirty. Someday, the study of the Saracen culture will have a deserved place in our schools. That ain't never going to happen. At least equal in importance to that given the rather sorry history of Europe. He kicking his own people in the back. To the beginning of the 16th century, these people through the Middle Ages were more like Americans of today than any peoples from whom most of us are directly descended. But in Spain, their destiny was to be brutally murdered or driven out. So they telling you exactly what they did to the Moors. And driven out, they were murdered and deported by the hundreds of thousands. But the idea of full employment of human energy, which they had put to use to their own great benefit, remained, and at first gave a tremendous impulse to the new Spanish nation. This burst of zeal lasted for about 100 years, then burnt out suddenly during the days of the evil Inquisition, and left a devastated land still sick and ailing today. Y'all hear this, right? During that viral 16th century, the military power of Spain not only laid a heavy hand on much of the rest of Europe, but also sent many of its bravest young men to the New World, bent upon conquest. So right here, what I just read to y'all, that's both. That's both. That's all our nation going into captivity at the same time. I'm gonna read it to you again because they just said that they did what they did over there in their land, and he sent their men over in our land the same time. This is, they, if you read anything with the papal bull, they call it as Muslims and Saracens. But Muslim just means belief in like the Creator and one God. That's all that means. It's like a supreme being or whatever like that. So I'm gonna read this again. During the viral 16th century, the military power of Spain not only laid a heavy hand on much of the rest of Europe, but also sent many of its bravest young men to the New World, bent upon conquest. So they were literally destroying both sides at the same time. They were over here destroying, and they were over there destroying. And that literally leads you to the scripture where it says Judah and I think it's Judah and Ephraim went into captivity at the same time. So all 12 tribes went into captivity at the same time. This right here is literally telling you. All right, let me keep moving. Leaving the route around Africa to the Portuguese and Spaniards focused on the areas first visited by Columbus. One of his early companions, Pinzon, pushed through the Caribbean in 1508 and explored the shores of Central America. In 1513, Balboa visited the same section, pressed inland, crossed the Isthmus of Panama, and looked out over the ocean which Magellan was to cross and name in a few years later. Spanish exploration. In this same year of 1513, Ponce de Leon skirted what is now Florida and took possession of it for the Spanish crown. So that's not, you see, you listen to the words that they're saying. When they say took possession, they mean they came through and started killing. And also, I'm a jump back after I get off of here, and I'm gonna go back and literally back up what Judah said, where it says that our people were submissive to the Spaniards, like we bent the knee to them because we already knew that they were coming. And I'm gonna read that in here too to back Judah up, to let you know that our people knew they were coming, and we literally just gave we bowed down to these people because we knew we couldn't beat them because the Most High was backing them. All right, I mean some of us fought, and it actually tell you that too, that some of us we started fighting back. All right, so where was I? Okay, oceans crossing whereby now frequent, and Spain was lying firm claim to all lands visited. See, so everywhere they went, they just claimed the land. They didn't care who was there. They didn't care who owned it. They didn't care about the law of the Most High saying, if you go and take someone's land, your people are cursed. They didn't care. All right. But up to this time, all that had been encountered were rude natives living under very primitive conditions. I want y'all to pay attention to this word these two words I just read, where they say rude natives, right? And they also say we were living in primitive conditions. I want y'all to keep that in your head, because it's to show you where they lie and can't remember the lie they say. Just keep that in your mind. Rude and primitive, because I'm gonna just read it to y'all. But just remember, they said they encountered were rude natives living under primitive conditions. Remember that. All right. The returns from all the effort and money expended had not paid off. So now they're saying that there was nothing here. It was a bland, empty land. Keep that in mind too. There may have been hope of extending Christianity, but the real object turned out to be trade and particularly wealth. They just told the truth again, and that just backed up what Judah said too, where they lied and said that they were coming to teach us their demonic religion. And it tell you right here, the real object turned out to be particularly wealth. They wanted trade and wealth, and most of the trade was slave trading and plundering the land. Colonization was one thing, but what was that? Previously always had, by European standards, brought more certain results. So they're saying that, well, y'all know what I'm saying. All right. There were priests and clerics in the parties sent out. It is true, but they were made up in principally of armed men intent upon trade, if it could be had in that fashion, or plunder, if that method yielded better returns. So they sent armed men to do trade, but they don't want to trade with us. We just gonna take it. Yo, these dudes, they shot out, man. Seeking booty, these Spaniards were not long to be denied. They came here to take, As a young man, Hernando Cortez had taken up law, only to later become a soldier in the expedition of Cuba. At 34, he was put in command of 700 men and sent against Mexico. It didn't say sent to explore Mexico. He was sent against Mexico. I want y'all to hear what I'm about to read. Landing on its east coast, he founded the present city of Veracruz in 1519 and, promptly burnt his ships so that his men would have no means of avoiding the task ahead of them. So he burned and sunk his ships so his men would make sure they came to murder, steal, and plunder, which is pretty much the same word. But then he moved this small army up over the 200 odd miles of mountain trails to the plateau on which stands Mexico City. Here we go. He met with no resistance. So if they were rude, he just met with no resistance. Rude people, they not going for nothing. You know that. You trying to walk in, walk by him, or like he's trying to enter their city. Oh, where you going? No, you ain't going up in there. They would block him. But let's just keep going. And in fact, he received in the most friendly reception by Montezuma. So where you see what I'm saying? You see how one page they lie, the next page they telling you something else. Rude and empire far, far finer than any other yet encountered in the Western New World. In the exhilarating atmosphere of the highlands, they had built a beautiful capital city connected with other fine cities by excellent highways. Man, this is some poor stuff, really. irrigated fields produced bumper crops. There were skilled artisans at work, but above all, there were great stores of gold, silver, and jewels, enough to set fire to men already hot with greed. After the seizure of Montezuma, see that? They came with murder in their mind and plunder. Our people showed them, we bent the knee, and they didn't care. That's crazy. Somebody come and they submit to you, and you still murder them. Man, I hope it's behind burning right now. I hope he getting tortured right now. The emperor and his peace-loving native subjects turned on the invaders. Right, I would fight back too if you start killing my people. Although loss of life was great, Cortez finally succeeded in overcoming all opposition. This is crazy. He annexed Mexico to Spain, but in a costly battle at the pass of Tecopan, I can't say that word, but much of the rich booty which they had stolen was sunk in a nearby lake and never recovered. That's a lie. Y'all believe that? If y'all believe that all the stuff they stole from Mexico, that all the stuff they stole was sunk in a lake and never recovered, y'all really believe that? Yeah, you know where that stuff at. Either they stole it for themselves, or they just trying to, lie about some stuff. Here was proof, however, that there was rich plunder to be had. Then, as the Catholic mercenaries took over and begun their fine, peaceful task of restoring order. I'm sorry. So, we already know that the Catholic missionaries are the ones that equipped the ships with dogs, all types of weaponry, and sent them to certain places to attack because they already knew the prophecy. So, and now they're saying they came to take over and do peaceful tasks of restoring order. It wouldn't be hard to restore order if it's your people moving into the cities and there's only a handful of natives left that y'all can use as slaves. You see you see? This is sick. And now think about that. Isn't that what they do now? Look what they did to Iran. They went in there, they attacked them people, they murdered, and then they set up their own regime and put who they wanted to put in power to put order back in. After they done went in there and murdered all them people and took their resources. Same thing. Ain't nothing changed. Same thing happening under the sun. They have not changed at all. They're the same people. All right, what was I at? Restoring order, okay. Restoring order and laying the basis for Spanish colonists soon to follow. The blood-stained explorers turned elsewhere in search of further treasures. Like I said, they went there, they murdered, they killed everybody, they took the land, and they set up their people there. That's what they call restoring order, because there was nobody there but some slaves, whoever was left over, and they just took over. That's it. And then they just went. It's like a plague. They just went from one city to the next city to the next city, just murder. And where the blood, they followed the trail of blood, and they just moved their people in. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy. On the strength of mouth-watering rumors heard in Mexico, Pizarro, a Spanish adventurer, took it upon himself to sail down to west coast of South America to investigate whether or not there was any truth in them. Curving back from the western bulge of this little-known continent was the mountainous land of Peru. It was 1524 when he landed on its coast at Gallo. What he saw induced him to make a trip to far off Spain to obtain proper authority there to conquer this isolated country. This is crazy. This is wow. These people, man. Royal sanctions was given in 1529, and 2 years later, the Doughty captain sailed south again from Panama. He had 3 ships, but less than 200 men. Fortune was kind to him, however, for when he arrived on the second visit, civil war was in progress between 2 sons of the late emperor. They can't not even fight each other. These people just wicked. So they took over, conquered the land, and then they start fighting amongst each other. It's crazy. All right, this is the Incas conquered. All right, bidding his time until one of them, Atahualpa. Wait a minute, let me see. It's Atahualpa. Oh, that's weird. Okay, gained his signal victory and became the reigning Inca. Pizarro hastily made peace with him. He then secured the right to visit the interior of the land. At a great banquet given by the invaders in his honor, the new ruler or Inca was taken prisoner. Yo, I'm gonna read that again, y'all. Listen to this again. Listen, this is what you call a snake. These people are. That's what I'm trying to be telling people. You can't trust them. And you know what? Just to jump off subject, that's funny that this is happening because this literally happened to us today. To me and my cousin. So we went to the house, and remember, I went in the basement, did the measurements and stuff, and the lady had a leak under her sink, and she had already called somebody out because my cousin's friend, which she had his number, he didn't want to answer the phone when she was calling. So finally, they get me over there to map everything out and get them a price, to give her. So while we're there, they were on, they was on a roof, giving an estimate for her roof and stuff because she got a leak or whatever on her roof and stuff. She needed a new roof. And the guy that was there, which was a white guy, he was just there to fix under the sink. So she told us, he asked her, well, what are those guys up there doing? She said, they checking my roof. So he waited for us to leave out, right? So we had left out to, get some material out the car. And when we came back in, he was out on the roof. So my cousin asked her, well, what's going on? So she says, he asked me, could he go up there and see? And so my cousin was like, okay. She was like, yeah, he said that he can beat our price or whatever. And she said, well, I'm not going to use them. I told him, he said he just want to look. So it's like the same thing. They go right behind your back and stab. I mean, this man was smiling in our face, talking, and it's funny because my cousin literally said something to him about the roof. Like, listen, we got this part of the job or whatever, do what you're going to do. He was like, oh, no, I'm not here for that. But then as soon as we walked out, he went right behind our back and tried to stab him in their back and stuff. And that's exactly what they do, man. They can't be honest. But let's keep going. I'm gonna read this part again for y'all. Bidding in this time until one of them, Atahualpa, gained the signal victory and became the reigning Inca. Pizarro hastily made peace with him. He then secured the right to visit the interior of the land. At a great banquet given by the invader, so this is talking about Pizarro, in his honor, the new ruler or Inca was taken prisoner. Wow. Then began a horrible slaughter of his subjects. Y'all hear this? By torture, the seized monarch was forced to disclose where the treasures of his realm were hidden. Then he was treacherously slain. The easily portable wealth for which the bloodthirsty Spaniards had been seeking was found in great abundance. I thought it wasn't done here. Soon great fleets of galleons were shuttling back and forth, heavy laden with golden cargoes. So now you know what happened to all the gold. They stole everything. That's why they so wealthy over there now. All that coming back though, all of it. Temples, palaces, tombs, homes. Oh, they were robbing graves and all. Homes were all ransacked. Greed had found food sweet its taste. The new world to which Christianity was to be transplanted. Yeah, this is what Christians do for you. Must first be opened up by merciless pillage. What a pitiful travesty on the teachings of the master human energy set in motion by Saracen ways of life had most unfortunately combined with pagan methods, and the Spanish conquest fortunately experienced principality in Central and South America, added many dark and bloody pages of the history of man's struggle to achieve likeness to his creator. How is that the likeness to the, please? These people is just wow. All right, so I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna run back to where it show you that our people were being submissive to to these invaders. All right, there, just give me a second. Tony Spain, the accused and published a statement. Columbus oh, wait a minute. I did read it, didn't I? Yeah, I did read it. I'm sorry, y'all. I did read it when, about Montezuma, where they were, pretty much bending the knee to them. All right, y'all. So, what I'm gonna do? So I might do another one. I'm gonna just keep reading this stuff. And this page is Balboa's Discover the Pacific Ocean. So I'm gonna just keep reading through, and then what I'll do is I'll probably do another video in about an hour or two, a couple more hours. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Shalom. Shalom.